All right, guys, we're going to try this unedited thing again. I've really got it down for the thrift hauls and for the most part, the what sold videos, but everything else, I still tend to lean towards editing. And I don't know, it's been kind of a game changer not editing videos. It's provided a lot of relief for me to be able to get a lot of content out in a short period of time. This chair is leaning. But I'm bringing you another unedited, kind of raw, unfiltered video today. And you guys liked the last one that I did, and I thought I would bring another one to you of 6 things. I had to choose 6. I was going to do 5, but I was like, actually, there's like 6 things that I wanted to talk about. 6 things just over the last couple months that have really hit home for me, and things that I have learned for myself and my own business. Now, disclaimer, these are not going to work for everyone. And, if you have a different business model than me, these might not apply to you. But I think that somebody could take away almost anything from this, even if you're not following my methods to a T. I think you could take a lot out of these because they have really impacted me over the last couple months, and these are what I have been focusing on. So let's dive in. First of all, I learned that, which I already kind of knew this, but I've just really been focusing on it this month, that the best research on bolos is done on the platforms that you're selling on, not on thrift hauls. And I made a whole video about that within the last week or so from the time this gets uploaded, but it was titled Stop Watching Thrift Hauls, Do This Instead. And I have been truly following that method every single week, every time before I go sourcing for 5 to 10 minutes. If you haven't watched it, go watch that because it can be a real game changer. And the thing is that I was already doing that, just not as consistently. And yeah, huge mindset shift. And it's really impacted my sourcing and just staying ahead of things and researching the solds versus watching what sold videos or thrift hauls from other people and what's selling for them, because I can really find what works for me. And doing the actual research part of it, you're just more likely to remember you physically doing it versus watching someone else. So I stopped trying to lean on other people for bolos, which, like I said, I've kind of already have done for years, but putting into practice actually searching sold comps for 5 to 10 minutes every morning before I go sourcing in certain categories has been eye-opening for me. And I feel like it also really helps me to stay up to date on what's trending in and trending out, if that makes sense. So if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. A lot of people didn't know that you could do that, and I show you how to search sold on eBay and how to do research to find bolos. But even if you don't sell on eBay, you should download the eBay app and search sold comps on there, because it can be true for other platforms as well. And you can honestly do the same thing on Poshmark and other platforms, but the point of it is that the research is the important thing, because it's really going to help you to memorize the information, to see a visual, get up close, learn a little bit about it. And the act of doing that versus watching somebody else makes a much bigger impact. So that is something that has been really key in my business over the last month. And I'm starting to have Nikki do that as well. And just, as an example, I had her look into Levi's, Big E Levi's, because she'd heard of it, but she didn't know much about it. So we talked about it. She has found 2 in the last week. And it's simply because she knows about it now. Which brings me to my second topic, number 2, which is you will find whatever it is that you are looking for. So if you are looking for the higher ASP items, you will find the higher ASP items. If you are telling yourself that you're only going to find $20 to $25 bread and butter items, that's what you're probably going to find. And I used to not believe that that was true. I used to, I wouldn't say I fell into victim mentality, but I did in a way. And I acted like a lot of people that I see on YouTube and on the reseller Facebook groups that are saying like, that's great that that works for you, but I wish I could find all that stuff in my area. I'll never be able to make a business with, that ASP or doing that model because I can't find brands like that in my area. Which I will say, like, if you live in the middle of nowhere, that might actually be true for you. But for most people that are close to a major city, even if you have to drive like I do, like an hour away, you can still find really great brands. You might have to drive a little bit, but you can still find really great brands. Again, I know there's some people out in the middle of nowhere like that's actually true for, but majority of people that are saying that just don't realize that those things are out there because they're not putting in the work in to find them. And so what I learned these last couple months as I decided to not switch to like a super high ASP, like I'm not looking for luxury or anything, but looking to increase my average sale price. So before, my model is 5 into 25. It's still kind of that way, but I am being a lot more picky and I am trying to get to more stores instead of spending, time going through every single section and finding all of the bread and butter and all of the high dollar items in that store. I am now looking for the higher dollar stuff, but going to more places. And I used to not think that that was possible, or that these brands that other people were finding weren't in my area too. And once I started looking for it, all of a sudden I can find it. And it's the strangest thing. And there have literally been multiple brands that I've looked up this week that I've never heard of before, just doing the sold research, and I found them this week. Crazy, right? Nikki found those two Levi's Big E's simply because she was looking for them. So there is something to be said about having a focus and putting your mind towards certain things, and even just being open to the idea that those brands could be in your area. And if you are still questioning and you're sitting there and you're getting angry at this video thinking, no, that's not true. That's actually true where I live, that I can't find, higher than $35 ASP. Go back to that video about how to check the solds, and then do all of those filters. But in addition to that, filter to your zip code within 100 miles and check the solds and tell me what you see, because that means that those other resellers and those people in your area within whatever radius found those items and are reselling them, which means you could be doing that too. And I saw someone put it that way in a video that I watched recently, and I was like, oh, I guess I never thought to say it like that to people. Like, I have a zip code video of how to search zip code bolos in your area from like well over a year ago. So I've been doing this for a long time, but I really need to make an updated one about searching bolos in your area and how to do it with your zip code. But it's literally the exact same process as that video I just put out about stop watching thrift hauls. You just do an additional filter to your zip code within a certain radius, and you'll see what is in your area. And I don't think that there's a single person, again, unless you live out in the boonies, that can say, yeah, there's no items selling for over $35 in my area. That's just not true. It's probably true. So, you have to have an open mind about things. If you tell yourself that you're not going to find those things, you're not going to find them. Once you actually start looking for them, all of a sudden they all appear. I'm not talking about manifesting. I'm talking about focus your energy and attention to what you want, and you're probably going to find it. I think sometimes we have a mental block that we put up and we think, I'm never going to get there, or I can't be like this person, or I'm not going to achieve that. I'm not capable of that. And you really limit yourself because you tell yourself that. I'll stop that rant, but that is something that I have noticed as I've been doing this over the last couple months, is that once I started looking for those items, I started finding them. Again, the weirdest thing. Next up, number 3, something that I have really taken to heart over the last month, is that there is such a thing as a time investment. I think a lot of people look at time as just constantly a deficit, meaning that every minute that you spend, it's eating into your profits. So everyone's trying to figure out the fastest way to do things, yada, yada, yada. But there is such thing as a time investment, which is if you take the time to invest into your business, to slow down and do something good for your business, you actually might be profiting more in the future by making that decision and taking the time to slow down. I'll give you an example. Someone was recently on a Q&A, a live Q&A that we did, and we were talking about reseller burnout. And they were like, yeah, I had to take a couple of weeks off because I was experiencing burnout. And they said the funny thing was, when I came back, because I'd taken a vacation, I felt refreshed. I was the most efficient I'd ever been, and I got more done in that week than I've ever done. So that was a time investment that took away from her business. When she initially did it, she, probably lost money because she wasn't listing during that time. Initially, she lost money. But because she took the time to make a smart decision and recognize that, she came back even better and was able to make up that money and then some immediately. And that's just a very small example. There's other things that you can do in your business, certain decisions. If you feel this weighing on your heart right now, then I'm talking to you, and you probably know what it is that you're not making a time investment on. But it took us a really long time to do certain things in our business, even stuff that maybe only took an hour, but we would take like 6 months to actually do it. And then once we did it, we looked back and we're like, wow, why did we not do that all along? I've got a big one of those coming up that I can't wait to share with you guys, of something we just recently changed it was definitely a time investment. It took a long time to do, and I'm so glad we did it, because now we are saving time every single day by doing that. So I have a separate video coming out. I'm not going to share it here, but super excited to share with you what we did, how it's working, how much time we've saved, in case you guys want to do it too. But we definitely made a big time investment, and I do consider it an investment because we are going to see a bigger payoff in the future. But if you're somebody sitting here listening, maybe it's that you need to figure out your lighting system. Maybe you've been going between 5 different setups for the last month, and you still haven't decided which one you're going to do. And you know that it's causing you time every time you switch your process, and that you just need to take a day, test them all out, weigh the pros and cons, make a decision, and then do the same thing moving forward. That would be a time investment. It might take you a day, but the amount of time that you're spending constantly going back and forth between processes instead of just choosing one and figuring it out, that's going to save you a ton of time in the long run. It's definitely going to outweigh the con of taking a day to do it. So hear me out. If you guys something's stirring within you as you're listening to this, take the time, make the investment, spend a day, spend a couple hours, especially if it's only a couple hours. My gosh, I don't know why we do this to ourselves. It's only going to take you an hour. Stay an hour later than you normally do. Do it on a weekend. Just get it done. You're going to feel so much better. But for those of you that you're like, I actually know it's going to take a day, maybe a week, just do it. It's going to pay off. It is an investment up front, but it can be totally worth it. And money is not the only currency. Time is a currency in your business as well. And so make those time investments because they can be important. And I have really learned that over the last couple of months. It's been really eye-opening. Number 4, speaking of time, is I've been trying to figure out where I lose a lot of my time. And I realized, and this is just kind of throwing this out there in case anyone can relate, but I realize where I lose the most time in my business is where I get kind of caught in the weeds, where something happens and I haven't dealt with it before. And so I'm making the time investment to try and figure it out. But I get super caught in the weeds just because I've never dealt with a situation or it doesn't come up very often. And so, for example, my goal every day is to come in, spend 10 minutes at the office, check in with the girls here, and then go sourcing. So, I have way more time to source. But what happens most days is I come in and then 1 to 2 hours later, I finally leave. And I'm like, what happened to those couple of hours? And I just get very lost in the weeds on things. And a lot of little things I start doing and they add up and they take a lot of time. All this to say is that I recognize that in myself. And so what I'm trying to do now is we designated, for Nikki and myself, we designated Mondays and Fridays as our office days. And so what I'm trying to do now is tell myself, and hopefully this helps some of you guys if you struggle with the same thing, is to pick a day or multiple days that you can push things off to. That way you don't get caught up in the weeds and you can tell yourself, okay, this can wait until Friday. And when Friday comes, I'm going to handle all of these little things and chunk them all together so that I can actually spend the day doing what I'm supposed to do, which is sourcing. But I've lost a lot of hours sourcing, which is pretty detrimental when you drive as far as I do to go sourcing, to lose an hour here or there of your sourcing when you spend the time driving. So that is something that I've noticed in myself. So I have started setting Mondays and Fridays as office days. And I'm telling myself, okay, if anything little pops up, it's getting pushed to one of those days and I will handle it then. That way I can actually be doing what I'm supposed to be doing during this day. And I thought I would share that because it's helped me and I feel like some of you guys can relate. And number 6, the very last one is, and this is the one that I was like, maybe I should wait and just do 5. But honestly, this has been very impactful to me over the last couple of months. So I wanted to include it. And that is what you do outside of your reselling business can have a huge impact on your business. Even though it's separate, even though it happens outside of your working hours, is that it can really bring positivity or negativity into your business. It can bring health or unhealth. I don't even think that's a word. But you get what I'm saying. It can bring either positive or negative in, and everything that you do carries throughout this, even though we try not to let it. Stuff that happens at work, you bring home. Stuff that happens at home, you bring to work. And especially when you are, running your own business, most of the time, there's never a start and stop. It's like a straight line. So even for myself who has like a hard stop at a certain time, I do have office hours and I'm off weekends. Even still, things can disrupt, both sides of the coin. So I have been doing a lot of things, just personal reflection and self-evaluation and just trying to make myself better outside of work, because I've realized that it does make a huge impact on my business. Whether I come into work happy every day, it can increase or decrease my motivation as I come in and my productivity. Things like getting everything handled in your personal life. Like, I don't know why a big one for me is like ordering groceries, like grocery shopping in general, meal planning. Like it always goes to the back burner and it's stressful because I'll get off work and I'll be like, oh, I gotta go to the grocery store. So I'm trying to tell myself to plan ahead and work on those things that I know stress me out and not let it impact my day, because I don't want to come into work stress and I don't want to get off work stress because I'm thinking about personal life things. And by the way, things are going great in my personal life. I know a few of you have asked, and I appreciate you asking. I don't share a lot just for privacy reasons, and just because I know a lot of you guys probably, you're here for the business, which is great. But things are going great for me, and definitely compared to where I was at a couple of years ago, I'm so much happier. I am so much more productive. My stress, not that I don't still have stress, because I definitely do. Everybody has stress, but my stress levels have gone way, 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 way down. And yeah, I'm just getting a lot more done. I have, over the last couple of years actually tried to adopt minimalism, not to the extreme, but make life simpler, because life is very complicated. Everything is complicated. Like in the United States specifically, like there are so many processes to things. Like if you even just think about taxes, how many steps there are in taxes and how many different places things go, and it goes to this place and to this place. Like it's a lot. So the simpler I can make my life, the better. And I think because I have been focusing on having a simpler life, that did impact my business a lot, and why we have cut down so many processes. And honestly, it's been fantastic. But all this to say is something that has really, again, hit home for me, specifically these last couple of months, is trying to not only focus on making work better, but also what happens outside of work, because they both impact each other. And if you want things to work in harmony, like both sides have to be good. So that is all I wanted to talk about. I hope that some of these tips help you guys, some things that I'm doing, or maybe some concepts you haven't thought of. Again, you guys like the last one I did, so I wanted to jump on. These are just my thoughts. Again, they may not work for you. Maybe they do work for you, but I just want to share some positive things that I've learned and are happening. And I know that you guys might not believe that I'm learning every single day, because, I teach you guys all the time, but honestly, I learn something new every single day, and I love sharing it with you guys. And if I can help somebody get there faster than it took me, by all means. So that's what these videos are about. Just sit down, chit chats, and yeah, hopefully you can relate to some of them. Let me know down in the comments below how things are going for you. Can you relate to any of these? Do you have any tips relating to anything that I talked about? Or maybe a tip unrelated to anything that I said that just in the last month has really hit home for you? Let me know down in the comments below, but I am going to get off of here, and believe it or not, I actually went grocery shopping, and I'm going to go home and make dinner with those groceries. So see you guys in the next one. Bye.